There is an abundance of advertisements in the newspapers and to a much lesser extent on social media for teachers to fill clear vacancies at schools from the primary through secondary level. These schools are noticeably of all types, from well-heeled top performers to lower profile, less sought after, as well as deep, rural, and urban. This is the 78th episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. Good day. Please subscribe, and we love your feedback on the channel. Desmond Richards and Winnie Anderson Brown contribute to this podcast too. Now to Frankly Speaking, the commentary. There is a terrible shortage of teachers in Jamaica. Put another way, there are many opportunities for employment for teachers. Educators I've spoken to don't remember ever seeing such a demonstrated shortfall, but there is no reliable data about the demand. The numbers are one thing, and frankly speaking, it's not just bodies to fill the spaces that schools want. Many schools require teachers with experience who can guide their fresh-faced colleagues just coming out of college. And they want teachers who can do the administrative and other duties that make a school more than a warehouse. Besides, many schools are seeking teachers in subject areas that are already scarce, and those are exactly the ones the overseas recruiters want. Now, here is the president of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Lasanja Harrison.
Entire academic year, we had advertisements going, primary schools, secondary schools, needing teachers to fill vacancies. Up to March the 31st, I attended a function at a high school, and that high school was in need of 11 teachers in March. And that was just one school. There were several other schools that the administrators, along with the teachers on the ground, have been just holding the fort. It is not that all they operated with their full staff complement, academic staff complement for this current academic year. What we have seen, the compensation review undoubtedly has played a significant role in same, because many teachers were waiting to see what it would look like before they made their decision to stay or to leave the shores of Jamaica. Our problem is compounded of the teaching force to go on vacation, study, and study leave combined. So we know several teachers will be going off on their vacation and study leave. Some people use this vacation leave as, especially the 8 months, to test the waters. That is the reality. And then they make a decision. We have those natural occurrences of the system. You also have another natural occurrence of people who leave the system. Their time has come, and they determine that it is now, they have come to the end of their journey in giving sterling service to education and nation building. So you have those posts to be filled. Then you have now a higher intake or a higher pickup in the number of teachers who are deciding that teaching is no longer my career of choice. So all of that combined is increasing the number of spaces that we need to fill. And there are certain subject areas that are telling. And when you see a school advertising, what gives you the indication of the gravity of the problem is the number of clear vacancies. That speaks to resignation or persons who have retired out of a post.
Frankly speaking, I really thought that the compensation package rolled out for teachers recently would mean that some would stuff their passports and resumes back into their bags or drawers at home rather than go ahead with plans to leave. I was apparently wrong. Or perhaps those who are leaving and have left, because some have already, just this year were too far advanced in their thinking and planning for the new salary package to matter. Remember too, there's a built-in system that pulls large numbers of teachers, up to 10% of those employed to government, pulls them out of the classroom every year. You see, the Minister of Education may approve leave, study leave for teachers, and long leave or vacation leave of 4 and 8 months at a time to teachers. Up to 10% of the teaching complement may be awarded such leave every year. That means some 2,000 plus teachers may be out of the classroom for over a term to a year and more this September. Then you add to those migrating, retiring, or just leaving teaching. In my interview with JTA President LaSonja Harrison for this podcast, she was insistent that teachers have not got what they bargained for. She says the majority of classroom teachers are not impressed by what has been given to them. The JTA president says teachers are still upset and the compensation package isn't doing anything to keep teachers in Jamaica.
There were several teachers, categories of teachers, people within the field of education who, based on what was on offer or based on how they would transition, their percentage rate in transitioning would make them a viable option. They would see movements that they found agreeable. Mm-hmm. There were the category, in particular, the trained graduate, which is the category, the band that affects majority of the persons who work in teachers. Basically, your classroom teachers fall in that space.
Yes.
Yes, there was movement for those teachers who just came in the system 1 to 5 years. They saw a higher percentage rate. That's why it's not a wage increase we got here. More teachers, those who are in the system 1 to 5 years, when they transitioned at a higher rate, percentage than the teachers who have given 20, 25, 35, 40 years in the service. Those people transition and the monies that they took home, in terms of the retroactive money, it was less in some cases than those teachers who started teaching just 5 years ago. They feel that those years of service have not been acknowledged. And grave and more important is the point, you see, Mr. McKnight, that even to what the teachers agreed, many teachers have not yet seen that on their pay stub.
That's the JTA president. Now, we have a problem because even if every teacher just graduating from college, some 1,000 this year, even everyone was put into these posts available, there would still be a yawning gap and at least a shortage on experience too. And that on top of the learning deficits from COVID moving through the system. And it could get worse because, as principals will tell you, come September morning, some teachers who made their departure or other arrangements late are just not going to turn up. Frankly speaking, this means classes of Jamaican children going unattended. Let's look for solutions now. I would like to see the Ministry of Education with the teacher training institutions, including the universities, get together with the JTA and the principals groupings to formulate policy and program dealing with the needs of the education sector for the next 5 to 10 years. What's the real likely human needs based on history of the number of teachers who migrate every year, regardless? What projection can we make based on the salaries and conditions being afforded here? How many teachers can we train every year? Is it useful to try to get more young people into colleges to be trained as teachers and train them essentially for export, if you like. Frankly speaking, the best approach, I think, is to consider what should be done now and over the next 3 to 5 years to get qualified, motivated, and competent teachers in as many of our schools as possible. Here now is Desmond Richards.
After 60 years of independence, will you believe that there are hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans who still don't have access to water? As we speak, residents in Westmoreland staged roadblocks, blocking off the roads yesterday to protest lack of water. Over in Portland, 3 weeks ago, there were blockages, roadblocks, people trying to get water. Throughout the country, if you go into the rural areas, you will see old women slinging water buckets over hills, trying to get a drink of water. And this is after 60 years of independence, with both the PNP and the JLP forming governments. There are some fundamental things that need to be addressed as we go forward. Water. People must have access to water. How many schools, how many homes in Jamaica are still using pit latrines? How many? Then the issue of landlessness. It is close to 1 million Jamaicans who don't have any access to land. Now, in the constitutional debate that we are having and in elections coming, these are issues that I would like the voters to put on the table. We want to know what the future members of parliament in the upcoming elections, 18 months away, what are they going to do about getting water to the people of Jamaica? What are they going to do to make sure that people have proper sanitary conveniences? What are they going to do to clear up garbage? And the number one problem facing the Jamaican people today, the crime and violence. We have not had none sensible, workable strategy that is going to address the crime and violence problem in Jamaica. We are tired. Jamaicans are dying like flies. Jamaicans don't have access to water and proper sanitary convenience. These are basic needs. We need some answers and action now.
That's Desmond Richards, journalist and founder of Rebel Radio Jamaica. And now Winnie Anderson Brown.
June 28, 2023 marked a major development in the story of Chat GPT. Now, OpenAI, the company that created Chat GPT, is accused of violating privacy laws by scraping 300 billion words from the internet, tapping books, articles, websites, and posts, including personal information obtained without consent. Now, when I saw this information, I decided to search Bing Chat to find out what happened. Microsoft is also named in that suit. As you know, Microsoft invested heavily in Chat GPT, and Bing Chat is powered by the same model, Chat GPT 4. So when I went to do my research with Bing Chat, I saw another lawsuit filed against Chat GPT, filed against the owners of Chat GPT, OpenAI. And this was on Wednesday, June 28 as well. The lawsuit alleged that the AI company was involved in the misuse of the author's copyrighted works in order to train its artificial intelligence system, Chat GPT. And these two persons are named. In the previous suit mentioned, the 157-page lawsuit, that one, the persons have not been named. They are identified by pseudonyms for their protection, I understand. Now, this is a very interesting development to watch. What will happen next? We don't know. The saga continues.
That's educator and health facilitator Winnie Anderson Brown. Thank you for sharing with us yet again on this Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. This is episode 78. Please like, share, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. On behalf of Desmond Richards and Winnie Anderson Brown, I'm Franklin McKnight. Until then,